Mm-mm.
But
We're live. It
we are
says live.
right. We are live. Um, yeah, I don't know
So
how I got on.
go ahead and share it.
I don't know how I got on this. I don't. I can't share it.
It says you're live. You
Oh,
didn't it is live. Facebook says you're live as well. So we are live.
oh, we are
Act,
live.
act like
Okay.
it.
All right. Well, I'm raw and uncut. well,
That
well,
means so many
well,
things.
yeah, yeah,
See that
and,
first
and
minute.
yeah,
Ridiculous.
yeah. I meant that in a different way or whatever. But a couple people are messaging me talking about where's the live at. So I can't go to tell them, hey, it's we're on live right now. So
I don't know, but it says there are 4 people watching. So just I
okay,
shared it. You posted automatically for you, so I just shared it. So
okay,
hey everybody,
all right, good,
this is
good.
a brand new platform we're working on.
Right. So hopefully it works. It
Mhm.
works to our benefit and it works well. If everybody can real quick just kind of check in for me real quick, just to let me know that y'all are here. I'm gonna turn off my fan so I can hear just a little bit better. Uh, y'all know my autism calls for quietness. No, it actually calls for a nice vibrational sound. So the fan kind
Okay.
of does that for me or whatever. But anyway, so tonight, welcome for all of you that are here and want to do a little welcome to Angel Simmons of Love's Great Design, The Message Inc., and a whole bunch of other stuff, V3 and all those things. She does her Vanna White. I thought that this would make it, if because I last week when we did this, it was so difficult. It's so hard talking to a camera with nobody else to really verbally say anything, and also at the same time trying to read what
Mm,
trying to actually read what people are saying or whatever. So I thought this would be easier, and it'll give us a little bit of area to really kind of make some commentary. Um, it gives us something to look at, something for y'all to look at other than my beautiful face. So you get to look at Angel's beautiful face too. All right. So
you're welcome.
tonight's right. I see Erica is on here. I see Rashana is on here. Talking about she sees it now. Um, Delilah, Sister Mason is on here. Um, glad she's on here. Hey, I see you.
Can
Um,
everyone hear okay?
yeah, yeah, because we're trying a new platform, folks. So please let us know that you can hear okay. Because Facebook Live doesn't do where you can have 2 people, so we had to stream through somewhere else to come in here. So just make sure, let us know if you can hear everything okay. Just go like a thumbs up or something like that or whatever. You able to see their comments, Angel?
Yes, I can see them.
Okay. All
Nobody
right.
said anything. Thumbs
Nobody.
up if you guys can hear. Thumbs up. Erica said we can hear you. All right,
Oh,
let's roll.
all right. Cool. All right.
What
So
is the topic?
today's topic in our little relationship ready little thingy here is really hard conversations that we're afraid to have in relationships. All right. Hard conversations we're afraid to have that we really truly need to have. And this can be before we enter into a relationship, before we commit, before we whatever, or while we're in it. Actually, while we're in it. And Angel, one of the things that I've really seen, and one of the things that I've really noticed, and even doing the stuff that I do with relationships and stuff like that, is that there's complaints that somebody's not meeting the standard, or
Hmm.
things didn't go the way we wanted it to go, or somebody is just really not what we expect, what we expected them to be, or this is like the other, or whatever. And a lot of times, some of those things come from because that's just like things happen that way,
Mhm.
things unfold a different way, or things happen a certain kind of way. But sometimes it happens because we didn't have conversations.
Absolutely. Because the first question would be if you have a standard, does your partner know it? Because if they
Yeah.
don't know what your expectations are and they don't know what line they're supposed to be living at, then they can't possibly make those adjustments without having that conversation.
Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly. So it's like, do they know it? And sometimes it's like, do you even know it? Because
A better question is, are they able?
Are they? And that's the thing. So it's like some of the things that I think we tend to do is we assume that somebody pursuing us, or we presume that the attraction, or we assume that just for the mere fact that these two people came together, that this person automatically thinks like we think, or that they're automatically on the same page that we're on, or that they're automatically in the relationship for the same reason, that we're entering into the same reason. You know, where you may have gone into this thinking you was just getting you a significant other, they were going into this thinking that it was getting them a significant piece. You know,
Come on, peace.
Come on, peace. Or the other way around. And it's not even necessarily just that, because there's so many, when you talk about the span of having difficult conversations, it can span to so many different things, right?
Absolutely.
And I will be completely transparent tonight and vulnerable. I am currently in this space now, of having, and I've had difficult conversations before, so I'm not really a stranger to them, but they are uncomfortable. They are uncomfortable for everybody involved. They are uncomfortable even if you love your boo thing, your friend, whoever you're gonna have this conversation with. They're uncomfortable, and it's interesting that sometimes the people you are closest to are the ones that it's more difficult to have close or hard conversations with.
Oh, absolutely. You know, we don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. But more so than that, we are terribly afraid of rejection. So anything that makes you uncomfortable, you don't want to make them uncomfortable, because if you make them uncomfortable, they might leave.
Exactly. And that's probably how a good start for this conversation is, because ultimately the reason that we, was thinking about laying out some reasons why we don't have the hard conversations. And it really boils down to that real thing right there. Fear.
Yeah.
Fear.
Absolutely.
Fear that this person may leave us. I, for one, when I think about the different fears and things that I have relationally, I have those issues. And I can see those places in my life that are issues of abandonment, and not wanting to be or feel like I was left, or left alone or left to myself. Like sometimes we sit and think, shoot, I'm lonely enough. I'm alone already. Even being in a room filled with 100 people.
Look, it's a whole lot of people alone in a relationship.
Yeah, and there's a lot of, exactly. So it's like it's a thing that we're faced, and sometimes that sense of aloneness is not necessarily your partner's fault. All right, it's just sometimes some people I have a different brain sometimes. So sometimes because I think different, it creates a sense of aloneness sometimes when it's not really that I'm alone. So we got to take that into consideration. One of the things, and I was talking to actually Rashana yesterday about this, and was like, man, we got to really do a live. Got to do a live on this because I think that it's a space that a lot of people are in. And right now during this little quarantine, I think it might have been me and you that was talking about, it's going to be some relationships that
listen. Either people are coming out of this quarantine pregnant or they coming out of this quarantine single. Because because you have been with this person and you have discovered that I don't like you that much, but more importantly, I don't like myself, because I have seen myself in closed spaces, and I'm surprised that you liked me at all.
And see, you just hit on something right there. You hit on something right there. I realize I don't even like myself. Yeah, you just said more. You just said more than a notion.
Past the collection. I'm gonna drop my cash app. Cash to Angel. TO. Cash to Angel.
Cash to
my Angel. Cash app. If y'all want to pass the offering bucket, you are more than welcome. Rakeem, I'm just looking at comments. Rakeem Jamal said he is terribly afraid of rejection. Most of us are.
Rakeem, I'm with you.
Most of us are. Hey, Jamar, but we are. My particular personality, if you want to talk about personality traits and all those different tests that we've done and the Enneagram and whatever, I'm a lover. I'm a giver. I'm a helper. That's my mandate, to help. So if something's not working, then clearly I'm not doing enough. I need to do more. I need to do more because obviously, it's not working. So my That's my go-to is I need to do more. It's something else that I have to be doing.
Which sometimes it ain't really the case.
Absolutely not. Most of the time, it don't have nothing to do with me. Don't have nothing to do with me. But because of where I am and where I live in this love thing, that's my first go-to is that I'm not doing enough. You know, when I get to the other side of that thing, I ain't doing nothing. Ain't nothing. That's
but
it.
You know what's interesting that you said that is because another thing that like Rakeem said, the fear of rejection and you know, Rashana and them saying how tough it is. One of the other pieces of this, and y'all, what we're doing right now is just we really want to unlayer some of the issues that come before we even talk about even how to get around the idea of not get around, but go through the whole hard conversation things. Is to kind of unlayer and unpick some of the vulnerabilities regarding some of the things that we don't want to face. And she said, you know, feeling like she needs to do more, do whatever. There is a deep sense in a lot of us that don't feel like we're enough. All right. So then when you do approach a relationship, get a relationship, even though people say I'm better than sliced bread, this is that and the other. Sometimes
because I know it.
Oh, come on, right?
I know it. You
but
know,
a lot of times
if I move the camera just slightly up to my landing of crowns, you know, I can tell you all about self-worth. However, in a partnership with somebody else, all of that goes out of the window. You can say what you want, but when you are not getting, you know, enough, or not getting what you need, or not getting what you can't find words to express, or not getting what you have not even told them you wanted yet, you fall back into those habits, and you fall back into that mindset of it's me. So it has to be something either I'm not doing or I'm not doing enough of.
Yeah. Hey, Bryson.
Hey, Bryson.
You know, so yeah, it definitely ends up being that, and we come from this place of feeling like I'm enough, and that presents, believe it or not, that can present as a fear to keep you from having certain conversations. If it's a conversation of asking, hey, what are we really?
Ooh,
we've been talking.
Nobody wants to have that conversation.
We've been talking for whatever, but what are we? Like, what are we really? You know, and there's a fear that they might say you ain't nothing, or you an F-buddy. Or, you know what I'm saying? Or you just somebody that was entertaining my time, or just holding space instead of actually really.
Or they don't have an answer at all, and they
don't have an answer.
What do you want this to be?
Right.
And now you have to be honest.
Yeah.
And that's where the rejection is gonna come in, because either they're gonna like your answer, or they're gonna correct you.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's such a frightful place. And one of the things I was telling Rashana was, and I think I may have mentioned it to you, is the fear aspect of relationships. I was talking to a guy yesterday, and he said to me that he has relational phobia, relationship phobia. So he tends to lean towards just sexual relationships instead of commitment or whatever. And it's like, one thing that I noticed in that is some type of way we're still going to have a relationship, potentially some type of relationship. It just might not be a committed one.
The situationship.
It may be a situation. That's what that new word situation.
That's what it is.
And then we accept it as situationships sometimes because we're afraid to have the conversation that might make it a relationship. Or we're afraid of that altogether. You know, but it's like all of these layers are there. But what I don't want to do, what I was saying was I don't want to fear shame people, because these fears are extremely valid. Look at how we do each other sometimes.
And normal.
It's extremely valid, and it's extremely normal. So like, we don't want to fear shame people. Oh, you're afraid. You got to have this hard conversation. You're just afraid to do it. So what we really want to kind of do is figure out, how do we support people and support one another, and even support ourselves, and to take the steps that we actually need to take in order to have the difficult conversations that we really need to have. Because the fear part is somewhat inevitable, right? In anybody, you know, if you're enjoying something, you don't want that piece of enjoyment.
Absolutely not, especially if it's a big piece.
Yeah,
a big piece of enjoyment.
we don't want it interrupted. You don't want.
Absolutely not. And
you don't want that interrupted. Folks, listen.
Hoping that it's going to turn into what you want it to be.
Exactly. Those of you that are watching, you know, like it, share it, you know, get some people on here, because here's the thing, because you might be able, and I don't promote this, all right, but you might be able to indirectly get some people that you know you need to have a hard conversation with.
Come on, I promote it. You gotta have the talk sideways, have it sideways. Just have it. Just have it. Invite that person on here that you need to be having this conversation with. I want to address Rakeem.
Okay.
I want to make sure I didn't miss nothing else. Somebody said, Naso said, that's the truth. It starts with self-love. I I'm not the one to address self-love because I believe all love incorporates self. I don't think you can love other people without loving yourself, and I don't think you can love yourself without loving other people. So self-love for me means something very different than how these humans talk. You're gonna hear me say humans a lot. These humans talk about it. But Rakeem said, how do you keep your self-esteem intact after being ghosted? And how do you stay out of the cycle of not enough? I really think that there's a place where it starts, and it starts with knowing what you're walking into. And like we were talking about, setting those expectations, or at least making them known. If you're entering into a situationship, you know who you're dealing with for the most part. If you have questions or you're not sure, or, it's someone you didn't know previously, putting your cards on the table. I think that's so important to do that. Put those cards out on the table. Listen, I'm not a dater. I am looking for what you're looking for. It's nothing wrong with being honest up front. I think the problem is we get so intertwined in these situationships that we're so far gone. By the time we get ghosted, by the time we get rejected, by the time we get hurt, we have been in this situationship too deep. When at the beginning, had we laid those cards out on the table and say, hey, listen, I really don't want to have this conversation, but what is it that you're looking for? Because I might not be what you're looking for. It might not be healthy for you, might not be healthy for me. So I just kind of want to know, so we're not wasting each other's time. And I think because a lot of people are not relationship ready, this is your cue to hold your book up. People are not relationship.
Wherever it's at.
People are not relationship ready. They don't have that. They don't have that in their minds. They want to be with somebody else. We don't know how to be alone. We don't know how to sit with us, because most of us don't like us. If you don't like yourself, you need somebody else to validate you.
And to pin on that, for some people that are listening, it's like she said, we don't like to be alone. Now balance that, harness that. You also weren't created to be alone. So the feeling of that is fine. The problem is, like she said, when it comes to, you don't even like yourself anyway, or we're just accepting anything in order to not be alone. There's nothing wrong with not liking being alone, because that's just written in our code. That's actually how we made it. The problem is with a lot of these things, and actually most things that we wanted, it's not necessarily anything wrong with those in and of itself. Sometimes the problem comes in the means by which we go to meet it, the means that we kind of take on in order to get it. I can say for sure, as introverted as I am, that doesn't mean that I don't want a relationship with anybody, and also demisexual, so I sometimes barely have sexual desire unless I'm really emotionally bonded to a person, whatever. But it doesn't. So it's on the asexual scale. But I'm not asexual, But I'm also, asexuals are not necessarily aromantic, meaning that they don't want a relationship or don't want to be with somebody that's considered to be close to them, And those are things that people don't really understand. So there's nothing wrong with not wanting to be alone. The thing is about how we go about getting it. I know in moments where I feel deep loneliness, and thank God my days of this is over, but I found myself being fairly promiscuous, not because I really was trying to find somebody to have sex with. I was promiscuous and seeking because I was really trying to find somebody to connect with. But that means was not good. So sometimes we go in that route or whatever. So I just wanted to kind of throw that in there.
Yeah, we kind of touched on that last night when we were talking. You can be in a relationship and still have that same lack of connection and find yourself looking elsewhere, not because you're not, getting those sexual needs met, but because you're missing the intimacy and you're missing that connection with someone. That kind of plays into Rashana's comment or something you said earlier. She said a lot of people aren't ready to deal with the rejection, so they just roll with it and go unfulfilled. So instead of having a conversation to talk about what is it that I need, they'll just take whatever for the sake of being in a relationship, for the sake of saying you got somebody, you got a boo, you got a bae. We talked about what bae meant last Friday. Bae stands for something very specific. What is it?
Badass experiment.
That's what bae stands for. So I don't know if I want one of them, but unless
in Danish it means poop.
Oh, see that? Listen, y'all better stop calling people your bae. Bryson asks the question, can these legit conversations truly be had if one is lacking self-awareness? Absolutely not.
yeah. Okay. And here's the thing with that. And I'm glad she asked that question, because one of the things in supporting people towards actually having difficult conversations, some of the things, the practices that we have before that, you have to make sure you're settled first. Like now, so Bryson, this is answering your question, but I'm presenting it for all of us, if that really makes sense. Because some of the steps in this whole thing of communicating and having difficult conversations is centering yourself. Is actually centering yourself, grounding yourself, really finding out what is your purpose in the first place of even having this conversation. Why are you even going to have this conversation? So as you center and really get your intentions aligned, and as you whatever, and again, this would be the same thing for the other person. And so in other words, as you become self-aware, and not self-aware in just a selfish sense, but self-aware in the sense of saying, I'm not just looking. See, y'all folks, y'all about to make me go. You're in a relationship with somebody else, not just to get your need met.
Say that again, but a little louder for the people in the back.
Yes, you're in a relationship with somebody else, not just to get your need met. So if we approach relationships from the standpoint of I'm just looking for the one that is going to meet my need, then that might be the problem right there all along.
That's the problem for real.
That's part of the issue. It has to be, I'm also looking for the one that I'm called to serve. All right. So you have to clear your intentions when we're having these hard conversations. You have to clear your intentions and self-centered and become aware of your own biases, become aware of your own baggage, become aware of your own traumas, that you have your traumas. And even like we started just talking about the fears, be aware of your own fear that is there, because guess what? These things play into how you're going to have that conversation. It's two things in a hard conversation that are extremely important. It's how you are, meaning your state of being, and what you say. All right. But if the how you are, meaning you're not self-aware, you're only in this and you're coming in this and you're ready to point a finger, you're ready to come in. If you don't approach it as a team and come into this from a self-aware space, you're going to come in blaming. And you're going to come in just pointing the finger. You don't ever do this. Yeah. Or you didn't do that. The first thing is to be self-aware and to actually take ownership for yourself, and ownership for yourself in the sense of grounding yourself, to bring yourself to a calm space. Because a lot of times we have the hard conversations, we wait till everything blows up. And then now it's not a conversation, it's a combat. And it ends up being a power struggle. So to answer Bryson's question, yeah. That's good, Bryce. She said true self-awareness removes self. Girl,
come on.
High five the screen. I know she did it,
Yeah, and I think another part of that, we talk about those conversations, when you have to have a hard conversation, what is the objective? What is the objective in the conversation? If you are sitting down to unload all of what you've been feeling for the last 6 months because you haven't had the courage to have the conversation, it's not going to go well. If the objective of the conversation is to gain understanding, or to move past it, or to find healing, or to find adjustments that can be made from the both of you, that makes it very different. So now it is a conversation. It's not you just unloading everything you've been feeling. At the end of the day, and I think a lot of this, a lot of this is, the rejection we were talking about is in the back of our mind. At the end of the night, if you know that you and your partner will still be you and your partner, you walk into that conversation very differently. But if
You
you
do.
walk into that conversation thinking, if I bring this up and they get upset or offended or insulted or reject me, we might not be us at the end of this conversation. That changes your whole mindset. And it's a different perspective. So knowing that you are truly in a partnership, you're in this together, the two of you want to resolve these issues. Open communication is a regular thing. When you enter into that, it is conflict. When you enter into that conflict, you know that the two of you are walking out on the other side. You're still together. It makes a very big difference in how you approach it.
Yeah, it definitely makes a difference. And that's one of the talking points that I had was when you approach the relationship, like how Bryson was saying, when you come with the self-awareness, you're clear on what your intentions is, and you're not coming in to fight this person, the ill way or whatever. You're actually coming in to try to partner with this person so that your relationship can move to greatness, or you can resolve the certain issues. But one of the first talking points for how to have a successful outcome, or to attempt or to move towards having a successful outcome, is inquiry, meaning you're coming into to have the conversation. You're curious. Now it's not disregarding the fact that you have been impacted.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But sometimes we have to recognize that impact does not equal intent. So sometimes they may make you feel belittled. They may make you, if you're coming to have this conversation, how they make you feel, or y'all ain't having enough sex, or whatever it may be, they may make you feel, or are we really together? You have to go in, not in the accusory standpoint, but as an inquiry, as if you know nothing. All right. Because what we do is we go into with assumptions, or we go into immediately trying to advocate and fight our case. And while there is a space for that,
they don't even know they're in court.
Yeah, right. It's like sometimes that's not the first way to go in. But when you go in and you inquire, the point of the inquiring is so that you really truly is really for you to kind of reconnect, and for you to listen, for you to really listen to you. We can't just assume that your partner or the person you're trying to be in a relationship or with or whatever, that they automatically think like you think, or that they share the same perspective. And if you're going into this to really get to know them, you have to understand their perspective. And I think that we should inquire so much so that you really truly understand, and you understand enough to be able to argue their case towards you.
And that's the difference. And going into a conversation looking for understanding. You're trying to gain understanding. You're trying to get aligned so that you all are on the same page. That's what alignment is. That means I have to know your side. I have to know how you think, how you feel, how you understand it, how you see it. And you have to see the same thing. It doesn't mean we agree.
Right.
It doesn't mean we agree.
Right.
It doesn't mean we have the same mindset, but finding a middle ground, or making those adjustments and compromising. There's a comment up here from, I don't know, Naso.
That's Shanae. That's my cousin.
Okay. The question is, how do you deal with the person that has not fully let go of past hurts? You know they love you, but the past holds them back from moving forward and hinders the relationship because they fear history being repeated.
Oh, pick me.
I see that hand.
See that hand, pick me. Shanae, that is extremely common. And that's all of us. To some degree, that's all of us. All right. Again, when we go into a relationship, we go into with past experiences. Because we live by this philosophy to say our past experiences made us who we are. All right. So then that's why everybody's living, this is just who I am. And sometimes that's your personality coming forward. Your personality is how you are. It's the masks and sometimes the defenses and the guards and the shields and everything that you had to put up to deal with life. So we think that after you get out of a relationship with somebody else that did you wrong, whether it was family or a significant other, we think we're fine. So then we go to another relationship, but the problem was them anyway. So we go to another relationship, but you bring to that new relationship all of these shields, and you can I really trust you? You bring all of that to a relationship, and it's inevitable. We all do it. It shapes it creates a culture in us. It creates something in us, and we come to a relationship with that. So here's the thing: how do you deal with it? Is if that's the part of the conversation that's the hard conversation that you need to have, you again have to go in partnering with this person, because this person is somebody that you're saying that you love, right? So you want to help them be their higher self, but you can't go in blaming them for their past hurt. You can't go in, because what you do when you do that is you further traumatize them, and you further cause people to put up their defenses and to put up their guards. And it's very difficult to do, especially if you have been impacted negatively. All right. But what we have to do is to go in and say, I would like, I want to talk to you about how I'm feeling about XYZ, versus I want to talk to you about why you always cussing at me. I want to go and talk to you about why you can't never keep your dick in your pants. I had talked to you because why you, and so we go. Oh, did I say?
It's a valid question.
My bad.
But those I statements are so important. Statements.
You really, and that sounds very clinical, sounds very whatever, psychological, but it's really true for helping you to center too, or whatever. Because here's the thing: one, at the end of the day, you're only going to be able to control you, and two, you're partnering with this person because you want them to partner with you. You're saying, hey, I have an issue with the way that you do this, or whatever. So you're putting it on. You're speaking about how it affects you. You're not necessarily saying that they're horribly wrong for it. You're not necessarily saying that they are just the scum of the earth for it. You're saying your behavior impacts me in a way negatively. And I'm doing my best to try to stay centered. I'm doing my best to try to not just keep the peace, Angel, but to be in a relationship where we're making peace together, where we're actually living in peace together, which means having this conversation. Because you can keep the silence and think that you're keeping the peace, and you're really just keeping peace, which can be detrimental to your relationship.
Listen, we talked about this last night, that peace, keeping the peace, is sometimes you walking on eggshells, which might be a little uncomfortable and a little scratchy and prickly, but at some point those eggshells turn into broken glass, and now you're walking on glass and you're bleeding everywhere. How is this healthy? And that's all because you don't want to have a conversation. You rather walk through the house bleeding, or would you rather talk about what the issue is? Peace is very different for different people. So keeping the peace and making peace are two different things.
And I've been there in the terms of just keeping the peace, and later and like you said, you're bleeding to death, and later you end up blowing up, or it goes further than where it needed to. Because you were busy trying to keep the peace instead of actually really approaching these things to make the peace. Shanae, I hope that kind of answers your question. If not, I mean, hit us with it. I want everybody to, anytime I do a live, I want it to be as raw as possible, or whatever, because I know that people face real issues, and as vulnerable as possible as you feel publicly, because I know it's public so people can see whatever. But
Rakeem said something really important. He said to tackle the issue and not each other.
Yes, tackle the issue and not. I'm so glad he said that, because here's one thing that I'm going to say, and I'm even looking at the comments. All right, and I'm glad he said tackle. What did he say? Tackle the
issue and not each other.
Right, because what I want to say is, notice how we talk about this. We say they this. What do we do when they whatever? One of the first things that we're doing is always them. And one of the first things that we're doing in this thing of difficult conversation, we're already approaching the conversation not as a team.
Listen.
We're already approaching this. And for those that say, well, we ain't in a relationship yet, so of course we're not a team. There's still a relational responsibility with anybody that you're engaged with in any type of way to try to approach it from a standpoint of connectivity, to try to approach it from a standpoint of we are one. So to speak, or whatever. So you can't go in with a mentality of separation and expect to come out as pure gold. All right. So but it's the way we talk, and I get it. Sometimes we say, "Oh, well,
Yeah.
what do you do when this person is whatever? What do you do when they whatever?" Some of the things we got to start setting together. What do I do when I'm feeling this way in a relationship?
Listen, let me tell you.
That's very important, folks. Very extremely important. Extremely
And we,
important. And it doesn't excuse people's mess. Don't get me wrong.
No, absolutely not. And we talked about this last night too. I think that the absolute best thing I could have ever learned in any relationship I've been in, as wonderful as I am, and as amazing as I am, and as phenomenal as I am, and I am, trust me, I can be a mess.
Just got to turn the light off.
You put me under certain pressure, in certain situations, under certain circumstances, remind me of something I've dealt with before, and I'm gonna turn into a whole nother thing. Not another person, a whole nother thing. And it ain't gonna be pretty. Listen, her that I buried, that chick I buried, she shows up, and I don't like her. I don't like her. I don't want to see it. I don't want nobody to ever have to meet her. However, you know, however, under duress, under pressure, she coming. She is coming. And I had to acknowledge the fact that I have a sheep. I have a sheep. And sometimes it's hard for me to see her because I am her. But there is absolutely nothing perfect about me. And there are times when I am absolutely not likable whatsoever, not agreeable, not fun, not lovable, or anything like it. And when you realize that there is a part of you that is ugly and nasty and rude and mean and spiteful, when you understand that you got that part, it makes a heck of a difference in how you are addressing other people in a relationship, because they saw that and you didn't.
And see, that's the thing where you sparked one of the thoughts that I had earlier, is these type of conversations have to be approached in grace, not in greed, not in grudge, and again, this doesn't mean you weren't affected in those type of ways. But these the whole point of coming to have this conversation is for the relational wellness of everybody involved. And when her comes up, relational wellness is not going to happen
at all.
So it's like
she's coming for blood.
I said to Angel earlier today, because I get questioned a lot. People ask me about relationship stuff in life and say, well, why do you, I've had some people say it seems different when you talk about it than when I hear other relationship influencers or whatever talk about it. And then you get some other people say, well, why do you say it this way or whatever? Here's the thing. I don't call what I do as a relationality specialist advice. I really think it's supporting people in unlocking their spiritual intelligence and supporting people in unlocking their own relational wisdom. The key word is wisdom, not the world's wisdom, but our divine wisdom that's on the inside of us, that has been written on our DNA as relational beings, that the part of us that has to align to what it means to be relational, right? So to kind of speak to that area or whatever. So what I tend to do as a relationality specialist is try to bring people to the space of unlocking the wisdom that is already in them for human relationships. I'm not interested in helping people survive relationships. What I'm interested in and what I try to present is keys or sparks for us to unlock the wisdom that has us thrive in relationships. By default, we wouldn't have to survive. So it's peeling back all of the layers. And that's why some things are presented the way that they're presented. If you know that there's a her, you have to live in wisdom, right? You have to live in intentional wisdom. And like Bryson said, I don't know if she's still on here, but like Bryson said, or whatever, because that is where your real, true, authentic self, and I would rather use the word even than saying self, your true, authentic power. And I talk about that a lot in the book, in Relationship Ready. All right, your true authentic power, or whatever. Your true authentic power lives there. That's where God lives. All right?
You're talking about uncovering the power and purpose of human relationships.
Right. Love's Great Design, baby. That's a devotional that takes you through the whole year.
Uncovering the power and purpose of human relationships, because we don't know. You're gonna have to peel back those layers, and the first layer you got to start with is you. Knowing that there is more you that other people see that you don't.
Yep. Yep. And
Uh,
making sure that that grounding is so secure. Go ahead.
Rakeem said, and I don't want to skip over Christopher. Christopher said, I just want to say thank you to the both of you for this platform. We really need this now more than ever since we are spending more time with our mates. Conflicts are likely to happen. What did I say? Either you're gonna leave here pregnant or single.
Yeah.
It's one of the two. And pregnant is not necessarily physically pregnant, but pregnant with a better alignment, a better purpose, a better sense of your relationship. So I don't want you to think I'm just talking about babies, even though that is, likely for it to happen.
Right.
But
Thank you for that.
Rakeem said, you have to understand that your dark side is still a part of you and embrace it. The more you expose it, the more it loses power. Absolutely. I talk about her as much as I can because it's a reminder to me that there's another side of me. That her rides around with she don't have the Bible in her car. Her rides around with the shovel in the trunk in case somebody needs to come up missing. We got tools available for that. So
And you got it. Yeah.
I understand that there are different parts of me, and my people know. People around you know, and they can call you out on your mess when they
And
see it. But
and
when
you
you're
got
in
to
a
understand
relationship
that
with somebody that's new, they ain't seen your mess yet.
you ain't even seen it or met her. And see,
Listen,
that's the thing is like you got to understand that those are the hurt parts of our personality. Those are the hurt parts of ourselves. It's not our authentic power.
mm-hmm.
That's our hurt self that will come on the scene and will take care of business. If it's provoked. I said, like if I was out in the dating scene, I said, like, I think that people sometimes should start with some of those things. Some of the
They
hard
should.
conversations should be, instead of going out on this date and saying how great people are, some of that maybe the first date should be a hard conversation. It
Listen.
should be, listen, I'm stubborn. I'm stubborn at times. This ain't saying I want to stay this way, but I'm stubborn. If you do this, then this happens. Then, because a lot of times we go into getting people's representative, or we go in getting all of this light of a person and nothing has agitated them. We don't even know how they respond when they're agitated. And then we think, oh, you're somebody different. No, they're not really somebody different. They've been
Mm-hmm.
put in a different circumstance.
Yeah.
They've been put in a different situation that causes another aspect of who they are to come out. What I'm trying to say ultimately is, let's not approach it from the standpoint of vilifying one another immediately. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody's not where you are at the same time that you're there, we have to get to women that are dating. And I'm saying it as women, but it's not always women, because I've seen this with guys too. And men are just as emotional, whether it's straight relationships, gay relationships, whatever. It's kind of universal. So I said women, but I kind of apologize for saying it that way. But it's like when you're somewhere before the other person is there. So you ready to move to level 3, and he's still on level 1 because he's
Mm-hmm.
dating 3 and 4 and 5 people right now.
Come on. And
But
you
y'all
ain't.
didn't have the conversation in the beginning that he was seeing other people and that seeing you was not exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
And then later you're hurt, but you never had the conversation that said that we want to exclusively date.
And that's because you came in with expectations and you came in with assumptions, but you didn't come in with a conversation.
And you came in wanting what you want.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Surprise. You're
Yeah.
one of many.
Yeah.
Makes a big difference. We talked about who is it? Bryson said, yeah, that dress rehearsal. It makes me think about, and I don't know who said this, but it's like you don't really know a person until you have seen them upset, until you've seen them when they're late, till you've seen them when they're hurt, or when they're sick. That's when some of our real personalities come out. I heard something else say you don't really know somebody until you see how they treat the server in the restaurant. And I pay very close attention. It ain't about how big you tipping, but how are you treating people? How are you interacting with people that you're never gonna see again? People in the store. Are you holding doors open for people? Are you walking past folks? Are people casualties along your route? It makes a big difference in how they'll see you. But the first time somebody sees you with the flu, or when you got to order your drink in Starbucks and they didn't get it right because you wanted 2 shots of this and a double pump of that and low fat this and skim that, and then they got your order wrong. Listen, your personality is gonna come out somewhere.
And I'm convicted. I am convicted.
I didn't mean to convict you.
I don't like my food. My food is wrong. I am the nicest. I can be the most kind, whatever that you would ever meet. But if my food ain't right,
I have seen it.
Yeah, I have a problem.
You're so nice with it, though. I don't want to be a problem, but can you take this back?
The first time. Because if it come back and it's wrong again,
I don't want it. I get something.
If it's fast food, and I got it, and I done left and went home and had to come back. I said specifically that if y'all would pay attention, and relationally, sometimes I have to admit, relationally, I feel that way. If I've laid out to you,
yes, Tiffany set them eggs. Yes, Tiffany.
Right.
Because they got to be soft, but not runny, but soft, but not runny.
Rashana too. Hush. If I've laid out to you what I need, what I've ordered, what I'm asking for, and it feels like you didn't pay attention to what I was ordering. I'm speaking even relationally. When it feels like you didn't pay attention, because we had this conversation.
But that goes back to the beginning. Were they capable and able of giving you that in the first place?
Capable and able, and did they really understand it? And the big word, of course, willing. The big word is willing for me. But my relational word is willing. Because again, like Shanae, I don't know if Shanae's still on here, but like how we were saying, everybody comes to the table with some baggage. I don't care who you are. I don't care who. Everybody comes to the table with some issues. Everybody comes to the table with dysfunctional thing. And when I say dysfunctional, I'm not saying necessarily that you were raised wrong. We are cultured differently. So you come to the table with something. You come to the table with something that's going to be conflicting. All right. So it doesn't have to necessarily mean you come into the table with necessarily with hurt and pain, or necessarily mean that you're coming to the table with garbage. It just means you're going to come to this table with something that's conflicting. All right. All of us are going to. That's all I mean when I say baggage. All right. We're all coming to the table with something. We have to approach it from that standpoint. And there has to be levels of grace that is weaved into this to know when I ordered this food, when I ordered this relationship, did you really understand what I was asking you for? And even in that, because people have different meanings, I say all the time, I say, you better find out what people mean when they say they love you. Because people have different. How many times have you seen, even on posts that I've done, where people say, well, everybody loves different. Everybody got different meanings for love. Everybody got so what are we supposed to do? We just live life as a crapshoot and hoping you find the one that got the same meaning as you? No, we have to have conversations to actually understand people's, I don't want to just say love language, but we have to understand how they actually interpret. How do you interpret when I say I love you? How do I interpret when you say you love me? I asked that to a few of my friends. Tiffany and them was on one time. I said, when I say I love y'all, what does that mean? Because I wanted to know how they interpret what I said. When I say I love you, what does it mean? And most of my friends, they come back with, if you say you love me, we know that means that you have this unconditional love for me, that you are there for me, that you will do anything that you can to try, but you will also call me on my BS. And you are, but we have to ask that question. What do you mean when you say you love me? Because again, we get a lot of people say, oh, girl, I love you. No, they love your booty. They love the peen.
Listen.
The peen, you know what the peen is? They love the peen.
With the eggplant?
Yeah. So it's very interesting because we have to have those conversations, and that's sometimes a hard conversation. What is love to you? What is your philosophy?
And most people's answers is not even that. It's I love how you make me feel.
Yep.
So it's not even about what do you do. I love what you do for me. I love how you make me feel. I love how you make me feel about myself.
Yep.
And this is why embodying love. Are you being love? Or is it in action? Is it a presence? No, it ain't none of that.
And this is why I say, I use the whole thing of saying, the I am love for you. Is that? Yeah,
Yeah.
the the I am love for you or whatever, because it holds me accountable to not just have a consumer type of love for this other person, but to have a love that says, here's what I mean when I say I love you. I want to provide what's necessary for you to thrive. That even includes me doing my own work to center myself. This is where I talk about, this is self-love to me, Shanae. When I do my work to center myself to be the best suitable person to contribute to the world. Self-love has nothing to do with me and everything to do with who I am on this planet to contribute to the relational system that God created. When I do this self-care and it's not me trying to, I got to now go and protect myself necessarily. It's me going to ground and center myself so that I can come back to the table and offer the best food possible. When you come to me and eat my tree, I want you to get fruit that is edible. I want you to get fruit that is tasty. I want you to get fruit that is nourishing to you, that is thriving for you. And this is what we all long for in a relationship. We want somebody that's going to, when we pick at their fruit, that is going to be nourishing to us. The problem is we get into these situations where we almost demand this from them. And instead of just letting the chips fall where they may and realizing, they don't have that kind of fruit yet.
Or you at the wrong fruit.
And here's the thing, it may be, but here's the thing, it may be yet. So, and again, I'm not saying fall in love with somebody's potential, but I am saying see them in the divine light and find out where the willing is. All right, because again, we come to the table with some contradictory things, but are we willing to lay these on the table and partner towards them to, advance to whatever level it is that we need to advance to? But these conversations, y'all, they are hard. They are fearful as heck. They are scary as heck. Right now, I don't want to lose my relationship. There's nothing in me that gets in a relationship with anybody to lose it. I thought usually 9 times out of 10, I've thought very deeply about this before I did it, with the exception, and I'm saying this public, with this, I don't know if my if Renita is on here, my ex-wife is on here or whatever, but we've said this publicly before. It's like, I did that a lot of times under pressure. And I also did that out of being in love with her. All right. And it was some good loving. All right. But when I really assess what love really is, I had to ask the question, did I love her properly? Did I love it? We can say, the relationship failed because there was this, or she did this, or I did that, or this, that. And we get lost in the details, and the details are killing us instead of actually focusing on what was the real issue. The real issue wasn't age. The real issue wasn't what. The real issue was not having this space of having matured and understanding what love really means. And the whole aspect of coming into a relationship to serve someone else and not serve them as I'm your slave necessarily like that, but to serve them in the sense of saying, I'm coming to help provide the support for what you need to thrive, but again, we won't have these, sometimes we'll get blindsided. So the conversations we need to have that is going to make our relationships whole, healthy, and successful, we won't have them because again, like Rakeem said, like everybody on here has said, we don't want to lose it. We don't want to, or we don't want to be rejected, or there's a fear that's there. And again, this is not to fear shame people. This is to say, what can we do? What can we do to support one another in actually having the courage to actually have these conversations? One of those things is you can actually, believe this or not, this may sound real corny. When you have to have a hard conversation with somebody, you can rehearse it with one of your friends because you need to be prepared. There's several times when somebody have come to me and said, how should I know I got to talk to my partner. What should I say? And it's like, well, I'm not going to tell you what you should say. I will help coach you on how you should say it. All right. Because and that's usually coming from is that wisdom. Again, in this idea of wisdom, this is not to force your way or to force your whatever. It's to communicate. This is hurting me. This that is going on in our relationship is hurting me, or I'm unclear. So when I say hurt, I'm not just talking about you physically hurt. It could be I'm confused. It could be we've been dating for 4 years. What's going on? It could be we've been screwing for 7 months. What's going on? Because it's the questions that we have or the little things that we see. But again, y'all, from a wise standpoint, not a manipulative standpoint, the wise standpoint is, how do I approach this relationship in grace and partnering in an aim to partner with the other person in having the difficult conversations? When you're dealing with people who are just going to be completely unreasonable, sometimes you're left to do nothing but have to let them go, whatever they're abusively kind of whatever in that way. But
and you touched on something that I mentioned earlier. A lot of this disconnection can be avoided when we know who it is that we're dealing with. Everybody is not a suitable partner for you. Everybody is not a suitable partner. Everybody is not mature enough to be in a relationship. Everybody is not capable, able, or willing to meet your expectations. It makes no sense for me to sit around a beautiful tree and water it and fertilize it and prune it, expecting apples, and the thing puts out oranges. It makes no sense. I know what kind of tree I'm sitting under, but I'm expecting a different fruit. We're talking about fruit, it's not necessarily rotten fruit, but I'm expecting a different kind of fruit. Rakeem mentioned something. We were talking about love. He said, or they love you. They love that you're around for a 1 a.m. booty call. When we're talking about who it is that we're dealing with, you're talking about your expectations. You also need to think about theirs. What are their expectations of you?
Yeah. Are
you willing, able, and capable, to meet those expectations? Sometimes we're not, and that's not a suitable partnership. I don't want to be in a situationship. I want to be in a courtship for marriage. This is what I'm moving towards. I'm not trying to date around. And if some people's definitions of dating are different, they think, they can go out and see whoever they want to see because they're trying to decide who they want to, who they like and who they don't like and who they might want to be in a courtship with. Some people go straight to courting. What are the expectations of the people or the person that you're dealing with? Because yours aren't the only ones that matters.
And I think, that's always my biggest thing. It's like, again, if you're seeking this, and again, now this spans folks from significant other to even your friendships and to whatever, because we have to have difficult conversations and whatever. If the word is relationship, that means it's not just you. So there has to be enough care and grace for one another to say, yes, I see it this way, and this is what I want. But I also have to not non-judgmentally, unjudgmental, what's the word? Unjudgmental, whatever. Without judgment, at least receive, even if I don't agree with, receive what you're saying and what you need. All right. And in the greater situations, we end up moving from, I have wrote down, so we talked about the inquiring, and then acknowledgement. And then I put, that's showing that you have heard and really understood what the other person is really, what they're really bringing to the table. You've really understood it. And again, I say you understood it so much so that if you had to, you could fight their case for them, even against yourself. All right. That's just saying that you really, truly get it. And then the other thing is we move towards advocating for what it is that you're saying you need. Okay, well, I feel something they may have missed. This is what I really feel for me, or this is what I'm looking for me. Now, you also have to be willing to look at some of the things that you ask for and say that you need. Are they coming from trauma? Or are they really, truly soul supportive needs? And that's where it gets difficult, because there's some things that we say, well, I got to have somebody that's going whatever. That's coming from your trauma.
A lot of us walk into relationships with a list that we didn't get from the last one.
Exactly, which can be whatever. With my love language, or one of the primary things I did, quality time. Do you know that if your love language is quality time, you can possibly be too demanding of people's time?
Absolutely.
So you have to take into consideration that you're looking for 19 hours and they really only want to give 15 or 4, and then we get upset because they only want to give 14 and you want 19. But that may not necessarily be a reason to get out of a relationship. You don't want to set yourself up to be a monster. So now you're on the prowl to find somebody who's going to give you every single thing you want the way you want it. And I'm not saying that in terms of don't get what you want. I'm saying it in the way of saying when you really truly become self-aware and realize, no, I want to have sex 7 days a week, but come on. The reality is that's taxing for somebody, for some people. I have to really realize my desires, my desire may be out of whack. And I need to whatever. So you got when you're approaching the conversation for hard conversations, again, you got
my desire is not thoughtful or considerate.
It's not thoughtful or considerate. So like you have to be mindful of the person that you're having this hard conversation with. We would be surprised at just being heard and understood, and when our partners actually feel like that we're really teamed with them, or saying and now I'm not talking about being patronizing, but saying, you know what, I really truly do see how you could be affected by it. All right. You may not agree with, again, some of the logistics, but I could see how that, or how the fact that you're affected, I can see how that could probably cause you to be XYZ. We have to approach it from that. That's real wisdom, folks. All right. To really approach it from that standpoint. What I want to do is, and the last thing is, after you've done that advocacy and y'all really are, because it's, again, to try to connect, after you've done it, then you can move towards problem solving. That's a whole nother live or whatever. But I want to make sure we didn't miss anybody's comments in there, because we've hit the hour mark, and I don't want, people get tired. They can't stay in a relationship too long.
Yeah, Nay said, because if they can't or not willing to reciprocate, it makes you feel like time has been wasted. That's when we were talking about wasting people's time. Tiffany said, when I ask, why do you love me? I don't expect an answer. I expect you to say, I don't know why. Because once you say, I love you because X, Y, Z, these are conditions.
They do. Yeah, they become conditions. And we are conditioned to answer that question. We say, well, why do you love me? Oh, I love you because whatever. Okay, that's cute.
We're conditioned to perform.
We're conditioned to perform. I don't want to get on that. But yeah, we're conditioned to perform. And we really got to and also Tiffany's question is interesting because it can be a setup. It can be a setup question. Absolutely. Oh, why do you love me? Oh, you didn't answer right. Oh, you ain't answer that right. You ain't, and so one of the things is what I have done, and I can't tell you that it 100% works or whatever, because I'm going through stuff with my part. So, but it's to ask the question of what does loving me mean to you, versus why you love me. What does loving you mean to me? Because we have to make meaning together. Right. And in those spaces, I think we're really beginning to find out something, because it's like the aim here, because a lot of times we go into, I'm going into trying to see if they're the one. That sounds like you prowling, and you're not going in really. It's not a healthy curiosity. It's a arrogant curiosity.
And you're not going to serve. That's for sure.
You're not. And we don't see it that way. You're going in arrogantly, and you're not going in with it. You're already starting it wrong. So we really gotta kind of do our best to really think these things through, be clear on what our intention is, and going into these hard conversations that we're trying to have. Because I ain't got time for folks. And the truth is, you probably don't have time for whatever. But if you go in with an attitude, the outcome is going to be reflective sometimes of that attitude. All right, whether stated or unstated. That 9 times out of 10, or maybe 8 times out of 10, the outcome is going to be reflective of that attitude. We have to feel that when we're approaching hard conversations, that we're in safe space, not just you safe.
Oh, that's an important word.
Yeah.
Most of our relationships are not safe spaces.
They're not, because we
can't have the conversation, because you think if you have the conversation, they're going to walk out the door. You're going to never see them again. This is the end of it. Because you're going to hurt their little feelings, and everybody's upset. That's why people don't want to have a conversation, because it's always, this can make it or break it. Why are our relationships that fragile that we cannot approach conflict without fear of losing everything?
Yeah. Like I said, I'm in that boat of fear of losing or whatever. It's like you lost so much in life, you're just like, oh my God, another
Listen,
thing,
I
another.
totally answered this story last night. This particular relationship. Every time we would pull up, getting real personal, keep my business to y'all self. Every time we would pull up in front of the house in his car, it didn't matter whose house it was. If we pulled up and he turned the engine off and sat there for a minute, using history as a guide, this is the part where he's telling me I can't do this no more. This ain't working for me. Or he runs down his list of everything she has been doing wrong. That's me. Everything she has been doing wrong or what he's not getting. Every single time we would pull up. It wasn't until years later where we actually had a conversation about that. And, we had worked out through some things or whatever. We pulled up in front of the house one particular day and he cut the engine off. And I whatever my reaction was, he saw it. And he was like, oh, no. I'm just trying to save my gas. I just didn't want the engine running because you were still talking. I wanted you to finish your thought, but I just didn't want to save my gas. And I was like, whoo, shit. Because, oh my God, he was like, is it that bad? Am I that bad? He was like, you know what? I'm so sorry, that we've even gotten to this point, to where you thought what did you think I was going to say? You always say, you turn the car off. I know this is about to be a fight. And it wasn't until, years later when we had that conversation, he recognized my trauma from all of those conversations. It was like, no. I'm just trying to save my gas. That's not what we doing. And I'm so sorry. And I'm so sorry that I've ever made you feel that way. He's like, every time I cut the car, every time you cut that car off, this is what happened. It's not, that's why we pull up to the house, my keys in my hand, my purse is on my shoulder. I'm trying to get out the car because I don't want to have no conversation. It took years. And when I say years, I'm talking years. It took years, before we can get to the point where, okay, this is not that moment. He's just saving gas. He's letting the window down. We're still finishing our conversation. It's not that particular moment, but that's because our relationship had not been a safe space.
Right. It was the historical memory for that relationship.
Oh my gosh. And it was a repeated.
Right. And that's one of the biggest things that we have to take away from this is in having the hard conversations is that don't be the tyrant. Don't you be the tyrant. Or if you even be aware that there are triggers for your partner just as there are triggers for you. All right. There are things that may rise up there, just like it may be. I see it all the time with myself,
right.
with other people, with my partner, with other people, I see it all the time. And some of the greatest sadness to me is there's a lot of relationships that are ending that didn't have to. They ended because our traumas took over.
And what did I tell you his trauma was for me? Remember I told you what was his trauma was for me? The word no.
Oh,
no.
Right. No to everything.
I said, let him tell it. I said no to everything. No. You want to go here? No. You want to go in the bedroom? No. You gonna cook tonight? Nope.
That's his valid experience. And you have to be like, I have to honor that.
I have to find another word.
Yeah.
I have to find another word. Or you know what? Not right now. Or maybe tomorrow, or maybe give me an hour, or you got a different suggestion, or something. Because if I say no, that's like end of the conversation. And for me, saying no was incredibly validating and powerful because I live my life. I live my life as an open book. I was always in public. I was always on the stage. I was always in somebody's meeting, on somebody's committee, on somebody's board, and somebody, I was always doing something. I couldn't say no. I couldn't say no in all those other spaces. We ain't gonna talk about church or church tonight.
So the no was where you found the no was where you got your worth, your value, your empowerment.
I can say no, and you ain't gonna do nothing about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
these are things that
he got it all.
these are definitely things that we have to take into consideration when we're approaching these particular. Bryson just said, she's like, recognizing your traumas. Next topic.
Yeah,
It really does need to be, because honestly,
I will keep that one off myself, Bryson.
Listen. All of these relationships are not toxic. Like, these are not all toxic necessarily. And we are not that incompatible. What's happening is we are not owning. And then when we do own our space, we own it with the roll of our neck.
Come on.
So we still have, so now we have become a part of the very thing that caused this trauma in the first freaking place. Because when we enter into some of this stuff guarded and not guarded in the sense of the scripture says, what, guard your heart for from it flows the issues of life and this and the other. And we end up guarding it from people in a negative way. That means guard your heart from evil infiltrating it. Guard your heart from being evil. Guard your heart.
Use the word from the issues. What did he say earlier? We're fighting the issues, not the person. What is the issue?
The principality. Yes, the principality. And we all need help working through these principalities. Now, again, some people are going to be more resistant to it. Some people are going to be, and I'm not saying you got to be in deep, close relationship with everybody that's just being resistant. But what I'm saying is we have to start employing wisdom, and not the wisdom of saying how to not get bit by the lion, but wisdom in understanding what a lion is, what a lion's purpose is, where it is supposed to be. My hand shouldn't have been in its mouth anyway.
Listen, you shouldn't have been over there in the first place.
Right. It's like, this is how this particular thing works. Wisdom is not and I use this example all the time because people really understand it. Wisdom for causing something to thrive, wisdom is not taking flowers and cutting them and putting them in a vase because they look pretty. Wisdom is planting them in ground that's going to cause them to grow. If you don't hear nothing else tonight, when you're approaching the hard conversations, the purpose of that conversation has to be because we are trying to grow. Not just because I'm trying to fight my way through you treating me bad, but because I don't even listen. I don't even want to see other people treat other people bad. Right. So it's like, even a partner treating me bad, I know they're not being their higher self. So the aim is to get to our higher selves or whatever, and to approach this, to work through this humanity, this flesh, the best way we can in order to get to the spirit, in order to get to the divine, in order to get to the love that we say we have or that we're trying to pursue, or any of those particular things or whatever. So, but anyway, I
got to go back up because we missed something. So Bryson has already asked.
12 minutes, read all 8 little comments and stuff. Really address it.
Bryson has already asked about a part 2, so it might be that trauma piece. I can kick that one off. Shanae said, "Love is a choice and usually can't be explained." She said, "How we love is based on who you are and your capacity." We agree with that. Rakeem said, I know we're dealing with trauma next time. He said, "I know my trauma of abandonment has caused me to place hard demands on quality time. I had to let go of my ego and realize
Wait, go back. Read that again.
I know my trauma of abandonment has caused me to place hard demands on quality time. I had to let go of my ego and realize."
Wait, Selah.
I know.
Rakeem, you're going to be all right, bro. Go ahead.
I had to let go of my ego and realize I'm one part of a person's universe and I have to respect their life. Listen, we ain't their whole world. I'm not your whole world right now. It's hard. It's hard, especially if that's your love language with quality time. Listen, my friends, I really believe my friends don't get off the phone with me until I say, "Okay, I'm gonna let you go," because they scared to get off the phone with me before.
Listen, I'm one of those people. Not necessarily just with you. I'm just one of those people that don't like to be the one to say, "Okay, I'm gonna go."
Oh my God! Because I have friends that I'm on the phone with for 3 and 4 hours at a time, and at some point, it's like, "Are you on this phone for 4 hours because you think I want to be on the phone for 4 hours?"
Okay, Bryce.
You want to get off the phone 2 hours ago, or you were scared to say something? It's
Right. Right.
hard.
Yeah.
I know
And
I'm very demanding.
yeah. I'm working on that in terms of my own authentic power because sometimes I'll be like, I don't want to be the one to say I'm going to go because I don't want them to feel rejected. That's that part that
See,
reaches in and tries to please and try
listen,
to, or whatever. So, but it's a
listen.
lot that we have. It's a lot of work that we have to do. I really truly believe.
And
Was there anybody else
we're
comment?
sitting thinking the same thing because we're
It,
so much alike. Ain't
yeah.
nobody want to hang up.
Anybody else's comments on that? I want to address them before we end.
Let me say, Kenya said, unfortunately, people react from previous experiences, not what's going on now. Kenya said, we are very wounded, hurt individuals. Bryson said, no, it's a complete sentence. Listen, you already know. I know. You ain't got to tell me. But it's only certain places that I get to say no. So those places, they get hit hard. They get hit hard with no.
Here's the key with no. Don't use no as an empowerment thing. Use no as a love.
And that's where I was coming from. It was extremely empowering. Extremely, because it wasn't safe places to use the word no. In other places, I had to make the space, had to make a space. So then I made somebody else feel unsafe. They can't suggest nothing. They can't ask no questions, nothing. Because she say no every day. You don't want to do nothing. No, I just don't want to do what you suggested. It's not that.
Right.
But it's always a better way to say it. And we have to.
It's a better place to pull it from. It's also a better place to pull it from.
That's and we have to learn, even in our love language, to be loving when we're talking to people. We have to be loving in how we're approaching these conversations. We have to be loving in our responses to our partners. These humans are rough out here.
Yeah.
You shouldn't get beat up in your safe place. You shouldn't come home and have to struggle to talk to the one person that, you want to talk to that you shouldn't. That shouldn't be the hard space for you to do that. But we have to know how to be loving, especially loving in those places with our loved ones and our families and our friends. Just like, you can't give the world 100%.
Yeah.
And then come home and give your family 10.
Girl, we're at an hour and 15 minutes. What's next? Who else? Who else?
That was the last comments.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So, all right,
Shanae said something. She said, listen, I had to learn no for the church stuff too. That's a whole nother lie. Said the church will drain you dry and leave you empty and sit you down when they finish with you. Listen, you want to talk about this? You want to talk about this, Shanae? The church.
Selah.
Drain you dry, leave you empty, and sit you down, and won't pay your phone bill when it get cut out. They want you to show up to every meeting and every rehearsal, but they ain't gonna pay that phone bill or put no groceries in your kitchen.
Definitely.
Oh my goodness, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. All right, folks. Listen, I hope this conversation was helpful, and I do see, I got some other things in my repertoire list that we need to talk about, but I like that Rakeem brought up the things about trauma and how Bryson was saying she had to leave, but the whole things of trauma, because a lot of times a lot of the issues in our relationships it's not that people are just horrible people. Mm-hmm. We are, like Kenya said, a lot of us are hurt, and we're trying to figure this thing out. So we either come into these relationships defensive or super offensive, which is a defense sometimes. All right. So you gotta kind of keep that in mind. And if you're going to be in a relationship with a real human, you have to understand that what's coming to that table is some conflict. So and it's not because they're horrible or not because we just, dirty, stinking and all whores or whatever. It's because we're coming to the table with something that's going to be conflicting. And we have to be able to position ourselves to have the conversations. So tonight was really just to kind of give us to free the space so we can talk about that, and to let people know it's okay to be afraid. It's truly okay to be afraid. But at some point we got to move it along. And this is just to give a few key wisdoms, because when we have a few key wisdoms on how to deal with certain things, the fear may not leave, but it kind of subsides. It gives you a little bit more confidence in actually going forward in something. If you're getting ready to get on a zip line, you're going to feel a lot better if you had something strap you on. It relieves the fear just a little bit, even though you still going to be scared swinging through these trees or whatever it is that you may do. So definitely take this somewhere. You can still share this video, come back to it and watch it. And if there's other topics and stuff like that that y'all want us to really hit on and whatever, please send them to me. And this is the other.
And you touched on fear, but I wanted to leave them with it's okay to be alone as well.
Oh,
you know, even though we're not meant to be alone without companionship, it's okay to be alone right now, especially during this time. This is the best time for you to figure out who you are.
Yeah. Your companion ain't got to be a boo.
Listen, absolutely not. You got friends, build those friends up. You got people around you, reach out to your family. You don't have to be alone in your aloneness. You don't have to be alone in your singleness. Single does not equate to lonely. You know, you can be single. You got a list of stuff you want to do, accomplish, get it done. This is the time for you to do that. People should be enjoying. I don't know about you, but I enjoy rolling around in my bed by myself every night. I enjoy it. It's just me. I got the whole bed because I got the whole bed to myself because I know what it's like to have to share a bed. And listen, sometimes being alone is a wonderful thing, not having to answer to nobody, you know, and not having to put everybody else's needs first. So it's okay to be alone, but there's nothing wrong with wanting to be with somebody, you know, but don't make that your all in all. So we can pub these things here. You
this
can
book, Love's Great Design.
Send me a message.
Tell them where they can get it.
You get it from me. Send me a message. I got some in my house. Love's Great Design, Uncovering the Power and Purpose of Human Relationship by Angel S. Simmons. It is a weekly devotional that will get you through 52 weeks of whatever year, whatever month you decide to start it. Don't start in January. It starts when you pick it up and open it. So this is some guidelines. This is not just about romantic relationships. This is about human relationship and how we deal with each other according to the word of God. So that's what this is about. You can get it from me. Send me a message and I'll send you an invoice and get it in the mail to you. If you want to be all formal, you can go to lovesgreatdesign.wordpress.com, which is my blog, and you can order it from there. You can go to Love's Great Design on Facebook, and my link to the book is on there as well. And Sir Leander has a new book, Hold That Joker Up.
Right.
Relationship, are you ready? You gonna tell them about it?
Are you ready? Relationship ready. And again, I ain't gonna say too much about it until the actual book launch. Book, you know, even though you can purchase it, you can get it now at leanderstockley.com and see all of the posts and stuff about it. But it's just really about moving from just a trend of hashtag relationship goals into the trenches of what it really means to be in a relationship with somebody, right? And to set ourselves as the perfect landing ground for a relationship. It ain't gonna guarantee that you're gonna get in one, but it'll guarantee that if you do, you'll be ready. You'll be able to keep it. All right.
Maintain it.
So folks, I want to thank y'all.
The next live I will kick off will be related to trauma, relationship trauma. Gonna talk about that. Leander will be my guest.
Right. I was like, trauma. You know, trauma is your area, girl.
We'll switch sides.
We'll switch sides, right?
Switch sides, and we'll be talking about how to move past trauma, how to move through. When I say past, how to move through trauma in your relationships.
Yep. All right, folks. It is 23 minutes past how long I wanted to be on here.
I don't know why you even bother giving yourself that expectation.
Well, you know, people start dropping out after a while. So it's like we don't went from however many 19, 20 or whatever to people starting to drop out. But yeah, folks, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight and for tuning in last week or whatever. And we'll keep trying to do some things like this because my heart is that our relationships heal and that we actually have thriving relationships and not just be surviving relationships. All right. Yeah. So hope everybody had a good time. If you want to message me or Angel, got specific questions, y'all know how to get in touch with us. Feel free to do that.
And right? You can send your questions in before the next live as well.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So With that being said, always remember, I am love for you. And I hope that you all would be willing to be love for me. All right?
Amen.
Peace. I think I stopped it. Maybe I did.
It's still counting.
Ciao. This is the bloopers part.
It's still counting.
All right, like this is the bloopers part.
We're still live.
Okay, there we go. All right. See y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.